All right, we are live on Thursday morning here. I'm super excited. Brady of J, Brady Seasonings is going to be joining me any minute, and we're going to talk about what he's been up to. If you've been following me for any length of time, I'm sure you've probably seen me with Brady. He's been our client for quite a long time, a couple years now. And let's see. All right, people are joining, and I'm waiting for Brady. He's going to be joining me, like I said, from J Brady Seasonings. So we'll give it just a minute. But I'm Sari with Food Business Success, and I help packaged food entrepreneurs start and launch their packaged food businesses into the world, helping them get onto retail shelves and onto online shelves.
There we go. Better?
Perfect.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you look great. Good morning coffee. We're in Colorado. It's about 10:30, but we are going to be prepping a pork loin dinner and we're excited about. But go ahead, before we get started, I just introduced myself while we were waiting, but tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Brady Stewart. I'm the owner of J Brady Seasonings. It's a proprietary seasoning blend company. I started literally out of my home kitchen back in February of 2017, and I've been at it, I guess, 3.5 years. Even though with the quarantine, it feels like it's like 15 years now. And yeah, like I said, I started blending in my home kitchen, selling online at farmers markets, and then now I'm actually in a major retailer and with Safeway, and yeah, and we're just rolling.
Cool. We'll talk more about that. But chatting. So I picked up pork tenderloin I'm in Denver, and there's actually this great market, and it's a local pork tenderloin. I'm feeling good.
Awesome.
So talk about you're going to walk me through this, but so you have five shakes. I can't hold them all, but
yeah, I've got a couple. I keep that thing on me.
Right. So you have 5 total, but you launched with 4, I think, way back when, and then you added a bit. So yeah, these were. I'd love to talk about your label refresh and kind of why you chose what you did. But so these were the main 3, and these were your best sellers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. They're a little more accessible. The other 2 are a little more creative and something a little different. But those, I think, have a good broad appeal. The palate, especially for us in the States, we like salty, we like a little bit spicy, we like really bright flavors.
Yeah.
So that's what's really involved in those.
Cool. So you, which day on the pork tenderloin?
So I got to tell you, my cowboy shake, which is my signature grill and steak seasoning, is fantastic on any meats, especially with the method you're going to be doing today. You still get a little bit of that smoky flavor because we have mesquite smoked salt in it without actually having to do the grill. I don't know about you, but it's been raining on and off here. And so you still get that nice charred kind of being outside steakhouse kind of feel without standing over a grill in a raincoat.
Cool. Yeah. I'm in an apartment and we have 3 kitchens outside, but they're all closed.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
Grilling for me. So you can see I've used a lot of this. This is definitely one of my favorites.
It goes quick.
Honestly, and the pops, actually, I'm on this is my second bottle, so I don't know.
Very nice.
But, so this is the cowboy, which we're going to use today. But then what I'd love to, show is, so we did a label refresh, and let's see, these are the new labels. So this one's the cowboy. I'll hold, yeah. So you can see the nice difference there, but so talk to me about, what were you looking for? Why did you decide to do a label refresh? How has it been? Kind of feedback season?
Yeah. So, when I first launched, it's one of those, I didn't want to sacrifice good for great. I wanted to get a product going. I had a connection with somebody who did graphic design, and I wanted to get a product off the ground, and it fit what I wanted at the time. But moving forward, especially when I got into a distributor and these larger stores, I started to get a lot of feedback of, hey, we love the craft feel, we love the artistic expression of your labels, but you just need to know they need to tie better. Honestly, you just need an upgrade, and I don't think there's a consumer product out there that probably, if they've been in business for very long, they haven't done an upgrade. I mean, I still remember New Belgium when they had like a watercolor, it looked like a art student put together, gorgeous at the time, but now, they're a major national and international brand. And with the feedback, I said, hey, it's a great investment. I did still want to keep the artwork, the craft feel, that local feel. So I actually hired a local artist named Ray Lucci. I'd seen a lot of his artwork on magazine covers around and met him at farmers markets and other outlets. I just love the look of his stuff. I thought it would go great with my feel, very Americana kind of. And we just ran with it. And, there's a little bit of back and forth, but now I think we like where it's at. I think we're ready to go and try and get in other retailers and keep expanding. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I do. I think that, they're nice and cohesive. They still have a nice pop of color.
Exactly.
But they look like they belong together on a shelf. Do you think you'll do the other ones at some point, or?
Yeah, I think so at some point. Again, with those being in the larger retailers, that's why we kind of targeted those. And frankly, I got a lot of feedback from the other ones that are a little bit more creative, that people said, oh man, I sure hope you don't change that. And so, yeah, the Gentleman Shake, it's a British inspired there. Got the Union Jack in the back. And then, what is the Seoul Shake? That's my Korean inspired. You actually have Jeongbuk Palace that's in Seoul, Korea there. So you got some cool ties. Again, it's kind of an artistic expression with those. But eventually, I think we'll maybe upgrade just so they tie better, but keep some of the original feel for them.
Yeah. I think that's such a great statement. They're like, do I hire the big graphic artist out of the gate? I mean, I don't sacrifice. Putting, get it to market with the best that you can at the time.
Right.
But then, yeah.
Well, we have so many resources now too, right? There's so many easy platforms that can do graphic design. Everybody's got to know a friend who can do something. If you get creative with it, don't get bogged down in the details of trying to get your product perfect right off the bat. Keep going. There's a reason there was Windows 95 and then Windows XP, and there's a reason that these things gradually change. It's good too, and it makes you learn.
Yeah, started in farmers markets, and then we met. Are we on our 2-year anniversary?
We're on our 2-year. Yeah, man, what a ride! What a ride!
What a fun ride.
Well, I mean, hey, and if I can make a quick comment, I know it's going to sound like a sales pitch, but I met Sari and I was selling online. Here we are 2 years later, and I'm in Safeway and I'm working on getting in bigger retailers. So, the results speak, bottom line. I had to get you a pitch in there, but it's a real thing. It's a real story.
I didn't even prompt you for that ahead of time, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that I wish I could bottle and put in, give to all of my clients is, and this is what I'd love to talk about next, is just your tenacity. I mean, you are just you're willing to fail, you're willing to try new things, you're willing to put yourself out there. You're willing to make those calls and just keep bugging people and you're things that are in the box, and certainly so maybe talk to us about what you've been doing during COVID and how that's been and some of the things you've been trying.
And if I'm being really open and honest, and I know everybody's in the same boat, I kind of entered 2020 really hopeful. I was in a distributor, I'm in major retailer, we're setting demos and I'm doing projections, and I'm actually going to be able to pull profit off of my business here this year. And then it's it just slammed on the brakes, and it really got to a point, one of my favorite things I've heard is a lot of times with your businesses, everybody is kind of shooting for the moon when you really should do anything you can to keep it alive. And that's the absolute mode I'm in right now, is anything I can do to keep it alive, because I can't do demos in store to market my products. I can't go and get in new stores because they're not reviewing new products. So you have to get creative. I've done really well with online orders, and a lot of it, luckily, has been kind of grassroots and word of mouth. You know, a friend orders off of an Instagram post I see. You know, I ask them, hey, would you mind posting on Facebook? And then it's like another order comes in after that. Honestly, the last probably 6 weeks, I've averaged, you know, anywhere from 4 to 10 weekly orders. And a lot of those, it's like it was ordered the second that somebody else posted. And so really using your network, because you never know who's watching or listening. I've tried to do a lot more Instagram posts and social. Bottom line, people are home scrolling on their phones because we can't go anywhere, and people are cooking right now. And so those two things, they do benefit me. You know, I've written a few articles recently for a new publication out of Loveland called Loveland and South Lifestyle. We did an article on a big Father's Day grill up. Won't tell too much because it's coming out, but it's going to be a fantastic article. Newsflash, my seasonings are in that one. So, you know, I've tried to get my name out there. And again, it's organic. It's not things that are just like, hey, I'm going to go slap a magnetic sign on the side of like a construction truck to market. It's things that I like anyway. I like food. I like beverage. I like culture. I like interacting with people. And so it's working it through that. And, you know, I've got a friend back home who started a podcast for high school coaches of all things, and it's kind of taken off. And, you know, he's been really good to me and hyping my stuff over the last 3 years. So I sponsored a quarter of his. I've gotten some sales off of that. And, yeah, you know, you really have to be creative. And the other bit of advice I think I would have is be in constant contact with all your networks and the things that were in place before this all hit the fan, right? Because the second it opens back up, you want to pick back up like nothing happened. You know, I got word that my retailers I'm in, the big grocers, they're going to start ordering non-essentials again and refilling. And because I was emailing every week and probably bugging the hell out of them, you know, I got that word quick. So I know that, hey, I need to have my co-packer ready to fill orders. I need to be checking in and seeing when I can do demos again and checking on product movement. And so that would be the other pieces. You know, business as usual, but just tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. I know you were like, you're essential. Like you knew your product was sold out on certain stores, but stores were, you know, focusing on toilet paper.
It was killer walking into a Safeway and seeing the shelf empty with my product, you know, cost sticker there, and it's just like, well, they're not refilling right now, and you're like, oh, that stings, you know.
Normalizing a little bit, and they've sort of forgot.
Exactly, yeah.
That's good to hear. They're starting to refill, and
yeah, I think so, and I think bottom line, you know, there's only a handful of places people can really go, and I think you and I have talked about this. People are shopping for groceries now. They're cooking at home. You get a little bit of like a dopamine buzz going to the grocery store and like, oh, I want this and this. I want to try this. And
totally.
Yeah.
That you know, we talked a lot about being real and authentic, getting on social media, sharing more.
Yeah.
Doing Instagram lives and all, like those
there you go.
Really scary for people, but the bar is really low right now. Like nobody.
Oh yeah.
Like, super high production value. We're all at home, like.
But everybody's in the same. But that's, you know, if you come to that realization that everybody's bored of tears, everybody's cooking at home, everybody is trying a hobby or new outlet.
Oh.
You know, you kind of get over that fear hump, and then you just do it. And hey, if somebody takes it, great. If they don't, you know, you tried, and then you move on. You learn from it.
Totally. So I recommend for everybody, get in your kitchen, just start talking. Live.
Man.
Just.
Yeah.
He's trying to be, you know, yeah, we're all in the same boat. So I think
absolutely
it gets a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think food has been a really big release and comfort for people. You know, hold the quarantine 20-pound jokes. But it really has, because you think about it, you know, how many times have you wanted to make a meal, but it took too long? You know, you can get to do the ones that are an hour versus 15 or 20 minutes. You can do the ones that take a couple days because you got to marinate, or you've got to make the dough and let it rest. You know, it's been a cool I mean, our epicenter of our house has been our kitchen, because, you know, we're listening to music and we're having a nice glass of wine and my wife and I are cooking together, and it's nice, you know. We've appreciated the slowdown for that, and so it's cool that people are getting back to the kitchen and trying things they wanted. I mean, I've got a stack of cookbooks this high that I've never even looked, and, you know, I'm getting to break into those, and hey, how could I incorporate my seasonings, or how could we kind of tweak it to where it would fit us better, American taste better? You know, it's been a lot of fun that way. I've tried to get the best out of it.
Totally. So I have I'm gonna pause you for a second. So I got my pork loin seasoned, so that'll be like resting for the day.
Perfect.
And tell me again. So I have my cast iron.
Right.
So how am I gonna cook this bad boy when I'm ready for dinner?
So here's what's nice about this meal. You can kind of do two things at once, and it all kind of comes together. So the protein portion of it, like you said, you've got a nice local raised pork loin. What we're going to do is we're going to pan sear it. So you're going to sear it, get a crust on it, one side, same thing on the other, and then you're going to put it into a hot oven to kind of finish roasting inside. And while you're doing all that, you're going to be cooking your side, which is going to be a hash of sweet potato, kale, and onion.
Okay.
And so you kind of have two things working.
Okay. How do I cut?
I would do a large dice. So you're looking at like maybe an inch around.
Okay. Same with
yeah.
What am I doing with mine?
Same with the onion, yeah. So sweet potato and onion, same kind of surface area. And then your kale, you want to trim out all but the really tough stem.
Yeah.
And kind of like a nice loose chop. It's going to be kind of the last thing that goes in because it cooks the quickest.
Okay.
You know, that's always the best way to line things up is, okay, what's going to take the longest?
Yeah.
In this case, probably the sweet potatoes, next the pork, then your onions and your kale. And I do want to mention a couple things. You know, a lot of people, I think, that are trying new stuff, and especially with meat and protein, and trying new methods, like you said, with pan roasting, two things that are just crucially important, and you cannot put enough seasoning on it to fix it. Always make sure, and you want to dry your meat off, dab it dry, right? Get that moisture off. Water, you always think of a steak or meat as being juicy. It's not water. It's the fats and the natural juices in it. You want to dry it off, because if not, you'll just never get a crust. You'll get that gray.
Okay.
We don't get that. The other thing, and this is probably the biggest thing, you have to rest your meat. And especially the bigger the cut, the longer. You know, I like to rest things for a minimum of 10 minutes. And that's what's nice too, is that's part of your cooking time while your side's getting ready. So, you know, say we've got 5 minutes searing the pork loin, we've got another 12 to 15 in the oven, and then you've got another 10. That gives you plenty of time to cook your side dish all the way through, and then everything kind of comes together at the end. It's really nice.
Yeah. So resting it after it's cooked, or
absolutely. You know, you could put a little piece of tinfoil over it, but you will not get the same texture, the same flavor, the same juiciness that you're looking for if you don't. It's like, I can't give a bigger recommendation.
Yeah, I love how to be
exactly
a package. Okay, so I'm going to sear it on the stovetop first, right? And then
right.
What oven? What do I put?
Oven. So get your cast iron skillet nice and hot. You're going to look for like a medium to medium high, right? You want it to cook and have a hard sear, but you're not trying to just burn the hell out of it. So you want to do two sides, and especially with like it's a cylindrical piece, you can even get a little more crust on it, kind of rolling it quarterly. Your oven, you're going to want it at about 400 degrees, so you can go ahead and start it because we can use it at any time. So basically what you'll do, sear, and while you're searing, go ahead and put a little olive oil and your onions and sweet potatoes in the other pan. Okay. So, you're looking a couple minutes for side or quarter of your pork loin. And then once you've seared it all, you're going to put that right into the oven. And I like to go, pork to me is a little bit more forgiving because we don't really eat medium rare pork or medium rare chicken. Those white meats, you want it all the way done. And especially since we're roasting it, you're not going to get that leathery kind of thing. And so I let it go for about 15 minutes in the oven after you've seared all those sides. And then what's nice is you're letting everything else cook. about 5-ish minutes before you're going to pull that out of the oven to go and rest, obviously, we're going to put our kale in with the sweet potatoes and onions and about a quarter cup of water and salt and pepper or seasoning of your choice. Cowboy shake, you kind of ties it together. It is nice with vegetables as well.
Cool. Yeah, and keep in mind that when you rest meat, it typically will come up a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to keep cooking, yeah.
I actually work a little more on the at least medium side. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. You want it all the way through. Follow a temperature guide. That's always a great one. If you're scared, you can always put a thermometer in. And, I think USDA temperature guide is like 165 or 170 for pork.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do want it juicy and, different cuts. Obviously, you're resting for different times. There's not near as much fat in a pork loin. Same thing as like a filet mignon. And so any juice or any fat that's in it, you definitely want to leave it in there and let it rest a little longer, right?
All right. So I want you to just talk about like your journey quickly about like getting into a distributor because you are
a
local distributor. Any couple of tips, and then tell us where we can find you and order some of your amazing shakes, where you are on social.
Yeah, perfect. Take it one time. So again, I started blending this in my home kitchen. I knew I wanted to have a business of my own, and on the advice of my wife, she basically was like, "Hey, I see you doing that all the time. You like food. Why don't you do it?" And so, first step was getting a business license and figuring out who I can sell to legally without, the feds busting down my door and like, put the seasoning down. So I figured that out. And then from there, I really started knocking on, mom and pop retailer stores, gift stores, places that I'd seen similar products. And they're like, hey, without it being made in a commercial kitchen, we can't do anything for you. And luckily, one of the stores I knocked on, his son owns my co-pack. He's my co-packer now. He owns Old Town Spice Shop that co-packs my product, which basically is they just get the raw ingredient, blend it to my spec, and bottle it. Still my product, but his raw ingredient is much better than what I could get in my home or with renting a commercial kitchen. And so I went the co-packer route. And then from there, I knew I had to expand, but I'm one guy and I do have a day job too. So me trying to drive everywhere in northern Colorado to drop off a box of seasonings was getting old, and I knew it was just unsustainable. And so I knew that, there's distributors that get out there and they distribute products, and by word of mouth, and they have actually been used, Sari. I found out about Loco Distributors, who's specialized. They're based here in Fort Collins, but they specialize in Colorado products and distributing to a lot of retailers, big and small, in Colorado. And I contacted them and said, hey, I've got a product. Here's where my sales are at. And they basically came back to me and said, hey, here's our stores. We have a limit of X amount of sales a month that you got to hit. And, for them, they want you to succeed because if you have a good product that people like, they'll win too. But you kind of have to hit that level. If I'm selling 2 bottles a month, it's not really, the juice isn't worth the squeeze there. And so I got with them and they said, hey, if you can get this many sales, and they said, here's our contacts, go at it. And frankly, I busted it, and I was calling stores and I got in more and I got my sales up, and they said, yeah. And they brought me on. And once I got on with them, I continued to get in stores, both organically and off their list. And then they came back to me and said, hey, we've never had a seasoning on the Colorado Proud end caps that we do with Safeway that they manage. They submitted me, and then I waited the longest year of my life, quarantine notwithstanding. And then I found out I got accepted into Safeway, and we put in orders, and and now we're here and started doing demos earlier in the year, and it was cool. I'm the little guy with like a sample in Safeway, and hey, would you like to buy it? And people are real responsive, and that was great.
Yeah, but now some new tactics for sure, but that's all right.
Absolutely.
Cool. So people want to try out your seasoning.
Absolutely.
You remember Peggy? I think she's the one that introduced us, but she texts me all the time and tells me, she's like, oh my gosh, I just love this cowboy shake. It's my absolute favorite. Like,
I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like all my babies, but cowboy shake I find myself using because I'm around the grill a lot, and it's great. It's great for proteins, especially hearty vegetables, and that's what we eat a lot just in our normal kind of weekly diet. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I find myself going back and back.
So yeah, if people want to try out your seasoning and all that good stuff, where can, I mean, I know they can find you if they're here in Colorado, but
Right. Yeah, so Colorado, I'm in Safeway, Lucky's Market, a multitude of smaller grocers and gift stores. I'm getting pretty saturated. So, if you go into one of the gift stores around, they probably have it, and they're probably tired of hearing me. But you can find me online at www.jbradyseasonings.com. We have a nice little promo right now. It's free shipping. I think it basically, if you buy 2 bottles or more, you get free shipping. People have been taking advantage of that. It's been really great. You can get all our variety pack and get all 5 flavors for $30, no shipping. It's pretty good since they go for $6.99 in the stores. So great opportunity to try them out. We send you nice little gift recipe cards with your package that comes. And yeah, I'm hoping maybe later this year. I've been in talks with Kroger and their distributor. Maybe get back on the train with those guys. So hopefully, you folks with King Supers and you never know. Sari and I talk about this. When you have a business like this, it's your time to kind of throw the Hail Marys and be creative and give it a go. Seriously, you just never know who might answer, and you never know what company might say, "Hey, we're looking for something different." With this last supplier, you just have to keep trying. I mean, I never would have thought I'd been here, and here I am. I'm in a major retailer. Dreams do come true type thing. So
yeah, just keep trying. Yeah, trying different things. I know.
you just have to.
Yeah.
And you have to enjoy it for that. You have to like the process. We've talked about that before. You have to like the process because, here I am 3.5 years in, and this was my first year. I was going to be able to pull a profit. And, it just takes time, bottom line. And it has to be something you enjoy and like learning and meeting the people and what is this business all about? And yeah, it's just all part of it. So
yeah, enjoy the process for sure. Don't just be
exactly
end goal. I love it. Well, I know you got to get to your day job. So
it never stops. The food hustle never stops.
No, excited for dinner tonight for sure. So
yeah, absolutely. Definitely shoot me some pictures. I'd love to see how it turns out. I hope it's delicious. We've done it here at the house plenty of times, and it's been phenomenal.
Great. Well, thanks for jumping on today. It's been fun. Catch up.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sari. Have a good one.
You too.